Um, so he basically became a cult leader? This is a villain origin story. That's what we're watching. Hey guys! Today we're heading into Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 5. I want to say that after that crazy dramatic battle between Toji and Gojo, things should be sort of winding down. But because it's Jujutsu Kaisen, I feel like I'm always on my toes. I never know what to expect. Here are my predictions for this episode. I think it's going to be a sort of transition where there's a slight calm, but it's kind of going to be a consequences episode where we see kind of consequences of everything that happened. You know, we definitely see a shift between Geto and Gojo's mood and personality. So I think we're going to see how this fight really impacted them, and as well as how it's going to impact the Jujutsu Kaisen school moving forward. I'm really hoping we get to see a little bit more of Shoko here, because we see a lot of mentions of her and how she helped Gojo develop his technique, but not really her in actual combat as much here. Jujutsu Kaisen always has the most feel-good intro and ending songs, and then the actual episodes are so freaking tragic. Ah, Mango, your fur. Oh, that's a dramatic time skip. 1 whole year?
できる。毒物なんかも選別できればいいんだけど、それはまだ難しいかな。術式も回し続ける。赤と青。それぞれの複数同時発動もぼちぼち。あとの課題は領域と。
I really like that in Jujutsu Kaisen, people are continuously improving. I mean, Gojo could easily just, he's the best sorcerer, he's the top of his game, but he's continuously trying to improve his technique and advance it. In other series, I rarely see that as much. At least it's not at that technical level. In a lot of other series, I'll see that, okay, main character is usually either overpowered from the beginning, or there's almost like he goes from weak to instantly OP, and then maybe he has kind of different versions of that technique, and that's it. There's not that level of continuous technical honing of the skill like I see with Gojo.
すぐる、ちょっと痩せた。大丈夫か？任務もすべて一人で。
Oh,
必然的に私も一人になることが増えた。
I wonder if them going on missions alone have more to do with, the fact that Gojo and Geto have just become that much more powerful, or if it's an emotional disconnect thing, where maybe they don't want to see each other get hurt.
払う、取り込む、その繰り返し。みんなは知らない呪霊の味。吐砂物を処理した雑巾を丸飲みしている。
Oh, I feel like Geto's really struggling here. And it doesn't seem like he's opening up to Gojo or Shoko about how he's struggling. But he really is. You can almost see the life draining out of him. I guess Gojo kind of saw hints of it, of him just not really feeling that amazing, especially when he's asking if he's losing weight, so he must visibly look tired. Ah.
誰のために？あの日から自分に。
I feel like this scene kind of came out of nowhere.
術師としての責任を果たせ。
It's getting eerier. It's so interesting to see Geto's transformation, because he was, in a sense, I feel like Gojo's moral compass in a way. He was always the one saying, hey, you have to be responsible. You're the sorcerer here. You have to hold yourself to a standard. And now he's questioning those very same teachings, standards, and principles that he's been talking about all season. It's just so sad to see, because both Gojo and especially Geto, it just seems like their situation's so isolating. Like, it almost makes me wonder if things would have panned out differently had they maybe opened up to each other. Because I feel like they both are carrying a huge amount of trauma from the Amane incident, whether or not they're willing to talk about it or acknowledge it.
Geto-san! Hi, Baro.
Hi, bro? Do we see him in the first season at all? Maybe I'm forgetting him?
君がゲト君どんな女がタイプかな
Who is she? I like how she struck a pose there too.
人を見る目には自信があります。私の隣に座っておいてか。はい。
I like his spirit. He's so positive, so honest.
特級術師つくもゆきって言えばわかるかな
特級のくせに任務を全く受けず、海外をプラプラしてるろくでなしの。
The art shift for her character.
呪霊の生まれない世界を作ろうよってこと。1、全人類から、2、全人類に呪力のコントロールを全員当時は呪力ゼロにもかかわらず五感で呪霊を認識できた。
So the thing with Toji is interesting. I'm still a little bit confused with the Heavenly Pact because they haven't explained it as much as I thought they would. So it seems like you don't really get a choice in the conditions, I guess, when you form it. But there are some advantages that you get in exchange for reduced or, I guess, complete lack of cursed energy. Like in Toji's case, he gets 0 cursed energy, but he gets these superhuman abilities. I wonder if we're going to see more people with Heavenly Pacts and how, I guess, their conditions are different. What are their benefits that they get? Is physical ability, kind of strength, agility, are those the only options? Or are there also more, I guess, other powers or other skills that you can get from Heavenly Pacts? Uh-oh.
じゃあ、非術師を皆殺しにすればいいじゃないですか。
That's a pretty dramatic conclusion to me.
生存戦略として術師に適応してもらう。要は進化を。
I feel like maybe there's some, some fundamental issues with this theory. Okay, first off, it's a wild idea to eradicate all of humanity that are non-sorcerers. It is pretty wild and pretty out there. So that's one. But the other is, I don't think it's really realistic. It would just never end. I mean, think of how many people that are there that are non-sorcerers. It would take far too long for people to actually adapt into somehow becoming sorcerers. If anything, you might probably end up with even more mutations other than Jujutsu sorcerers.
呪術は非術師を守るためにあると考えていました。弱者ゆえの醜さ。非術師を見下す自分。それを否定する自分。
I'm curious that other than the training, is there some sort of support system for sorcerers here? Because it seems so isolating and so alone. Whenever anyone in the series deals with a problem, it seems like they're very alone and they're struggling so hard. Even, I think Yuki here was her name. She just met Geto and she's sitting down, she's having a conversation with him. I think this is probably the most conversation she's had with anyone ever since the incident with Amane. Like, come on, you're telling me you can afford a whole school, all these equipment, weapons, and not some sort of maybe like, I don't know, professional support system for your sorcerers? I wonder what would have happened if she ended up speaking to Gojo as well. I don't know how I feel about that. Considering how he was ready to, in a sense, run away and fight for Amane, I don't know how I feel about someone telling me, oh, well, don't worry about it. Either way, there's another one waiting in the wings, or another one's gonna be born, so no biggie. In a way, it just feels like the whole situation just blew over so quickly. Oh, I kind of saw this one coming. He was the chipper guy, the mood maker, such a positive ray of sunshine. Of course he gets axed off from the storyline. And I bet this is going to add to Geto's stress. And it's going to make him lean towards eradicating non-sorcerers. What is this? Some sort of contract? They're kids. How can adults say such a thing? How can anyone say such a thing? It's all over. It's all over. Man, sometimes humanity can be so ugly. I think this is it. I can already feel it. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. This is his last straw. And this is the point where his moral compass is going to go far onto the other side. Ooh, I like what they're doing with the art shift. Man. See, I have empathy for the things that Geto was going through, but come on. I wish some characters wouldn't lean so much into extreme. Like all 112 residents, all of them. This is a villain origin story. That's what we're watching. Oh. Okay, this is where I have a bone to pick with Geto's master villain plan here. I'm assuming he's made his choice at this point. He's basically decided that non-sorcerers don't need to exist. I thought what he didn't like about the weakness was the ugliness of it. Of people taking advantage of other people. Things like that. That sort of weakness. Not physically being weak or physically not being able to fight back against him. I would have been surprised if he gone after that cult group that was aiming for Amane in last episode. But instead for him to empty out his home and to harm his own parents, it's just... I just feel so bad for Gojo here. Because this must come as a completely out of the blue shock to him. Oh, I like her outfit. She's one of the few that I've seen with a skirt. I like it. Are they just meeting? Honestly, same. I like her a lot. I thought some of the reactions would be kind of more emotional. Like, I expected her to be as devastated, as emotional as Gojo was when he found out what Geto did. But her first reaction was to understand why. Like, she wants to know why he did this. I mean, not to say that she isn't probably feeling upset about it, but I really like that her driving kind of first instinct was to be like,
but why did you do this? What was the point? Are the allegations false? Is there any chance of them being false?
I think it's nice that at least there were people around Geto that were willing to hear him out. I just think it's kind of childish that he didn't seek help from his support system, from his friends, from other sorcerers, before he kind of finally snapped and went about his master plan. Huh? What kind of logic is that? Right? It doesn't make sense. I'm curious, has that ever bothered Geto that Gojo's gotten so much stronger? Is that part of his own seed of doubt here? Geto's been so logical this whole time since the beginning that it's just odd to me that he's completely gone right off the rails and so far down the deep end. I don't think so. Oh! He let him go. The irony of the situation is that Geto has stopped Gojo from, someone else multiple times, saying there's no point, saying, that's not the way. And here he is goading Gojo into doing it, kind of saying, yeah, do it. You can do it. I think it's just so incredibly selfish. For his ideals and his beliefs here, he's ready to abandon everyone and anyone around him. And I just don't agree with it. I hate that there's no exception to his rule. It just doesn't make sense. It's so interesting to see Gojo and Geto being so close to each other at one point and arriving at two completely different conclusions. I feel like Gojo's response to Amane's incident was that he needed to become stronger and more powerful to protect more people. Whereas Geto spiraled into a moral dilemma of, what was all of this for? What am I working so hard for? Who am I defending? Does it make sense, the people I'm defending? It's really interesting because honestly, from the very beginning, you kind of would have thought that they would have gone the opposite routes of each other. And I guess, is this the beginning of his motivation to becoming a mentor for others and to training others up? Because I feel some sort of the spirit between his relationship with Yuji. Please tell me he doesn't keep that horrible logo up. So he basically became a cult leader? I don't support it, but you have to admit, villain Geto is a mood. He's a mood. Why is his face like that? I have to say it, Gojo's coming off like a whole kidnapper here. I mean, Megumi here is what? I'm just gonna throw a ballpark guess. Maybe oldest being like 8, 10? Oldest possibly here. And he just unloaded this whole backstory of his dad on Megumi, who's probably walking to school and is probably a kid, has no idea what he's talking about. Could he have been a little bit more discreet? Is he ever gonna tell Megumi about how his dad kind of, why his dad isn't around? Are they ever gonna approach that? Does he know? I feel like in the future Megumi does know, I think. I hope he doesn't just unload that here and just blurt that out. He was most definitely about to tell this kid that. I see it. How old is Gojo at this point? I mean, a year later, he's like 17 around, right? 17-ish? Have some tact. You can't just tell a kid that you've never met and have no relationship, that you just offed his dad, and that you want him to come back with you. I'm starting to think all sorcerers, besides an exceptional few like Yuji, are just in general kind of gloomy. He just accepted that and moved on. So this is basically the beginning of Gojo's dad arc. He's basically just gonna train a bunch of kids so that they can be strong enough to protect people like him. That's kind of wholesome. I mean, I know I'm putting a super positive, lighthearted spin on it, but at least we get something positive out of this episode here. Our favorite trio's back! Look at him, he's like a proud dad with his 3 kids. We saw more of Geto's perspective, but it helped shed light into the current Gojo that we see today and why he does the things that he does and how he's able to mentor others. So I think that was really nice to see. Oh, I am very excited to see more of our favorite trio again in next episode because it seems like we're right back into present timeline. I think the scene where Gojo and Geto are almost at that, I guess, on that sidewalk, having that last conversation before they go separate ways, is the most, or one of the most heart-wrenching scenes. Let me know in the comments what scene tugged at your heartstrings most, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.